talked about how Torah can make this world clearer. This world is very confusing. It's as if we are in the dark and we mistaken things to be what they're not, and things that we should see, we don't really see. So that is what we learned yesterday. I think the image, the idea was that some people without the Torah think what is good is bad. That is, what does the Torah say is good? They believe it's bad. And what we believe is bad, they say it's good. And it's only through learning Torah that we can improve ourselves. So the Torah brings the light to bring clarity in terms of values, in terms of how we should live our life, what we should do, how we should do it. So Rashi says in the Parsha, when it talks about in Dvarim, that the Torah is fire. Torah is fire. Rashi says that the Torah was written before Hashem, black fire on white fire. Okay? That's how the Torah existed before it was given physical form. So in Shemaim, it's black fire over white fire. Do you understand what that means? I don't. We're not supposed to. But Rashi knows. So the Maharal writes, this is what the Alei Shur brings here. He says there's a wonderful secret here. I don't mean that we're all going to understand what he says, what the Maharal writes, but we're going to try to make some headway to see what we can get out of it. The Torah is called, we term the Torah, we use two names for it. It's called Chesed, because we have a pasuk that says, Torah Chesed al Leshonah, right? You guys know that song, right? From Eshes Chayil, right? So people think the Eshes Chayil song is for the woman of the house. But if you look in the Meforshim, Eshes Chayil is about the Torah. Don't tell your wife that. Keep singing for her. But you look up the Meforshim on that, the last chapter of Proverbs, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So, Torah Chesed al Leshonah, the Torah is considered Chesed. And it's also called Darchei Noam, and it's called Emes. Torah Emes, Hayta Befiu. So we have two aspects of the Torah. There's an aspect of the Torah that it is truth, and an aspect of the Torah that is Chesed. What's Chesed? What? Kindness, love. Right? Two seems to be, at least at this point of the discussion, contradictory terms. Because we usually don't think of truth as being kind. Right? If your wife will come and say, how do I look? You ask the question, do you want the truth? Or do you want kindness? Because they don't go together. Does this make me look fat? Do you want the truth? Do you want chesed? Which one do you want? Door number one? And then you quickly figure out, where do you want to sleep? No, honey, it doesn't make you. No, nothing makes you fat. You can wear a tent as far as I'm concerned. Oh, you think I need to wear? No, that's not what I'm. You know how it is, right? Just a piece of advice that I got a long time ago. So it's not as bad as the married men that tell you. It's not as great as the guys who just got married. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not as bad, it's not as, There's an aspect of the Torah that is the base of the Torah, the Yesod is Esh Levana, fire. White fire. And when you learn the mitzvahs, when you think about it, you realize that it's not only a good suggestion, but it is the most appropriate and necessary act to do the mitzvah. It's a necessary act to do the mitzvah. So what does that mean? So the Eker mitzvah, the main part of the mitzvah, is obviously chesed, right? Chesed. The mitzvot are chesed. But the chesed, if you focus on, you learn the mitzvah itself, what the Torah is commanding you to do, you come to discover the emes, the truth. The white is the chesed, the black is the emes. So what is he talking about? Clearly, we don't really understand what he's talking about. White fire, black fire. Something very, very deep. But what we can understand, says the Alei Shur, is that in every mitzvah we can taste a little bit of the pleasure that is built into that mitzvah. But it's written as emes, black, because that means, according to the Maharal, that the Torah, the words of the Torah, are necessary, that they have to be this way. That if you really understand what the Torah says, you realize there is no other option but the way the Torah describes things. Like the mitzvah of honoring your parents. There is no other option. In order for what's the goal? For you to have gratitude for the people that put up with you. And you weren't easy to put up with. This idea is very, very difficult for me to explain, even though in my mind it seems very clear. So the question is how to articulate this to you. What the Maharal is saying is that the mitzvot, the Torah there's an aspect of it that is chesed. And there's the same part of it that's chesed is also the emes, the truth. And what does that mean? It means that when you are learning to do the mitzvot, that you're doing the mitzvot, you're doing a chesed. But as you're doing it, and you're learning it, you realize that this is the right thing to do. It is, according to the laws of truth, this is true. That one has to do it this way. But there's a connection, if you remember how I set it up, following the Maharal. That it's about learning and doing, that you recognize the truth of the Torah. You have to apply it. You have to do it. You have to live it. I think what he's talking about, although tefillin is an aspect of it, because tefillin is an ot, it's a sign. Right? What is it a sign of? What are you actually doing when you're strapping leather on your arm and your forehead? What are you actually saying to Hashem? You ever thought about it?
You're my God and you're one.
What?
You are my God and you are one.
Great. That's the idea. You are my God. I am, everything that I do is I am tying to you. And you are one God. I acknowledge you. That's not a feeling. That's more than that. It is knowing that it's the truth. That the act that I'm doing is telling Hashem that that's what I believe. And I'm doing it because I believe it. And that it is a chesed for me. That the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me an opportunity to express my belief in Him. Right. It's not that you're supposed to, as soon as you put this on, it's like the Power Rangers. You know, woo, No. That's not what it is. If it is, if that's what's happening, call your psychiatrist. Something is going on here. Right?
Yeah.
Why is it that I don't? He gave me everything. He's doing all these things for me. Why don't I? So then you say, because I believe I deserve more. More what? More hair. More money. More, I don't know what. More. Or I'm missing, I want to get married. Send me the girl. I want to be happy and I'm not happy. All those things, if you feel that your love of Hashem is contingent upon getting, it's not real love. And you have to work on it. Any love that is based on something that if I get A, then I will love you. Well, if the A is gone, there's no love. So there's no love, even if there is A. Right? Love is based on unconditional. If Hashem gives me, I love him. If Hashem doesn't give me, I love him. There's a story I read, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. Maybe not, yeah, maybe even 30 years ago. It was a story of a man who got washed ashore of a ship that they were leaving Spain because Spain said to all the Jews, either get out or convert to Catholicism. And he got on this boat and the ship shipwrecked. And his son and daughter died. And he made it to this island. He's by himself. And he's walking to Hashem and he's crying and he said to him, there is nothing you can do to make me stop believing in you. Nothing. I remember that when I read that, that made me cry. And you saw that person's love and connection to Hashem was, there's nothing Hashem could do. Now, obviously, that's not what's going on here. But that's what we have to work on. That's what we have to work on. First, we have to love ourselves and to see that Tselem Elokim, the image of God in us. But if you don't see that you have the potentiality of holiness, the potential to be great, to become, Moshe, the next Moshe Rabbeinu. Like the Rambam said that anybody could be a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu, or a Rasha like Yerevam. When you feel that you have that potential, it's much easier to connect to Hashem and to love Him. But if you don't feel it, you don't think about yourself as such, then it's much harder to say, like, why did you create me? Look at what life you gave me. Look at this terrible, you have come all these complaints. I'm from Brooklyn, man. The more, right, when you give to Hashem, and what can I give Him? I can give Him my ratzon. I can give Him my will. That is that I want to do what He wants me to do. That's the only thing He doesn't have. That's it. The only thing that I can actually I'm in control and I can give Him is my free will. To say, Hashem, I'm doing your mitzvahs. I'm going to sit and learn Torah. I'm going to put on tefillin. I'm doing it for you. Not for me. For you. And I think that that's where love grows and deepens. We talked about that. But here, we're talking about a different level. It means that the Torah is chesed and emet. And it is through Torah study and performing of the mitzvot that we see both the chesed and the emet of the Torah. Because on a lot of, when you, for example, when you speak to somebody about what the Torah says, you go, oh, that's an interesting idea. Oh, that makes sense. What do you mean that makes sense? We are doing the emes, absolutely the necessary thing to do. This is the only right thing to do. It's not relative, like, oh, that's good, but that's good too, and that's good too, and this good too. No. There's one emes. And it's only through deep Torah study and performing of the mitzvot that you see both the white fire and the black fire. The chesed aspect, the unifying aspect, the aspect that makes it pleasant and brings people together and makes people holy. But it also you see the emes, that it can't be any other way. And it's like, if you see this, if this is true, and this is true, and this is true, then this must be true. And I know that this is true, and this is true, so this has to be true. When you are aware of your Creator, of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, then through learning Torah, you become aware of God, and you know what He wants, and then you need to follow His path. When you learn Torah, and you want to implement the Torah ideas, right? Then there is Ahavat Hashem. The love of God is awakened when, and you'll recognize the Torah Chesed in the Torah Emet. You will see the Torah Chesed in the Torah of Emes. So you see the white and black fire, the black fire and the white fire inside the black fire. It's an image. Don't try to imagine it in your head. I don't see it, Rabbi, I don't see it. Now close your eyes harder. Yeah. And look up. Now do you see it? Almost, I saw stars. I got a little harder. I felt something too. Okay. So a gvilim, do you know what gvilim are? This is the parchment that they write a Torah on. So the gvilim itself has a din of tashmish kedusha, a holy object. Has a holy object, even though nobody wrote anything on it yet. Because they were created for the purpose of being used as a Sefer Torah. And then writing it requires knowing all the laws of how to write the Sefer Torah. So that walking in the path of Hashem means learning the Talmud so that you know exactly all the laws. That is how to walk in God's ways. Right? You are learning now, Joe, what to do if you find a lost object. You know now. You're learning. If it has a siman, if it doesn't have a siman, if it's a place where mostly are non-Jews, or mostly Jews, if it's something that is derech hanacha, right? It was placed there, derech nefila, if it just fell there, right? You learn all the different. I told you when I taught this Mishnah to a group of Chinese people that came to Israel. And tell you this is what they said to me. So they said, I said to them, what if you find a bag in the middle of the street? What do you do with it? And so the woman said, easy, we just call the police. I said, why would you call the police? I said, well, you call the authorities. They'll come and take the bag. And what are they going to do with it? They'll find its rightful owner. But the owner doesn't want it. No, you can't do it. No, they have to go to the owner and give it back to him. But the owner did my hefker. He doesn't want it. He threw it away. Why would you call the police? Why is this a crime? They couldn't understand. Wait a second. There's a different way of looking at things. If somebody doesn't want it, if somebody lost it, there are rules. The Torah tells you. So there's a famous story when Rabbi Akiva started learning Torah. What age did he start learning Torah, anybody? 40. So you have time. So the story is that he, it's brought in the Yerushalmi, in the Nazir, Masechet Nazir. So Rabbi Akiva just started learning Torah, and he was walking somewhere, and he found a corpse, just in the middle of nowhere. It's called the Met Mitzvah. Met is somebody who died. Mitzvah, it's a mitzvah to bury him. And so he picked him up and started dragging him until the cemetery, which was a very far distance away, to bury him. And when he came to his rabbis, and he told them, this is what I did. I found a Met Mitzvah, and I took it to the Beis Kvar, to the cemetery. You know, he was hoping, what would they tell him? Good job. Amazing. Give us a hug! Right? And what did they tell him? It says, for every step that you walked, it's as if you were spilling his blood. Because the halacha is, when you find the mitzvah, wherever you find him, you bury him right at that spot. So you dragged him 4 miles. You are responsible for every step that you took. All that work was for nothing. So Rabbi Akiva says, like this. I'm going to read the Hebrew. Im b'sha'ah shenitkavanti lizkot nitchayavti. בשעה שלא נתכוונתי לזכות על אחת כמה וכמה, באותה שעה לא זזתי מלשמש חכם. If at the time that I wanted to do a mitzvah, to merit the mitzvah, I became liable, at the time that I do, and when I don't mean to do a mitzvah, merit, I'm going to be liable. How much more so? He says, from that point onwards, I did not move away from my rabbis because I wanted to learn what to do. Without learning Torah, there is no way to become pious. You cannot become pious, as the Mishnah says, unless you study. How do you get from chesed to emet, or from emet to chesed? That's the question. So, one of the students of Rav Yisrael Salanter tells the following episode. That one time, a relative came to visit, who was a big rabbi, came to visit Rav Yisrael Salanter in his home. And as they were talking and going back and forth, how are you? You know, very friendly, nice visit. And when he was ready to leave, he said, you know, I would like to, with your permission, to leave. And then when he got up, the Rav Yisrael Salanter stood up and got ready to leave the house. So the guest said, where's the Rav going? You're taking a sum of money with you, and where are you going? He says, the money belongs to somebody, and I'm going to return it to him. So the rabbi said, why do you have to be matriach yourself? Why do you trouble yourself with doing that? Can't you just give it to a messenger? Send a messenger to give the money. Why do you, as the big rabbi, have to get up from your house and go all the way over there to give him the money? So the Rebbe says, he says, according to my opinion, is that I'm obligated to do this according to Shas, according to the Gemara. So the rabbi says, wait a second. If this is something in the Gemara, in Shas, I would know it too. And since I don't know it, maybe it's not there. So he says, jokingly, he said, maybe in your Shas, in your Gemara, it's not in. But in mine it is. So then the rabbi says, you have to explain to me, what am I missing? So the rabbi says, it says in Yevomis, the Gemara in Yevomis says, Vehi ra'av b'imei David shalosh shanim. There was a famine at the time of King David's rule for 3 years. And David sought Hashem and said, why is there a famine? We're going to have to continue the story on Sunday, because it's mincha time.